Hi there, I'm Al-Enazi, staff writer at PWM. The wealth management industry and more broadly financial services are entering a new stage of the digital rollercoaster. This journey of course started with the internet and in recent years artificial intelligence. Now with the advent of generative AI, a new era of this digital marathon is dawning with startups poised to seize the potential it offers. One such startup is Voxta, based in London and Hyderabad, India, which creates client-specific generative AI chatbots and multilingual voice bots. Today, I speak to its co-founder, Kavita Reddi. Please join me for the Startup Show. Hi, Kavita. Great to have you on the show.
Great to be here, Ali. Thank you for the invite.
Voxta is known for kind of creating these, generative AI chatbots and voice bots, and they're very, client-specific. I guess what inspired this startup? Where do you see this technology going forward?
I think the inspiration for us was going to India and seeing the massive opportunity for digital transformation in a country where many weren't literate, many couldn't read and write, massively multilingual with, over 26 languages in use, but they all had a mobile phone. And that's how we ended up launching voice bots as a method, as a way of communicating, giving and getting information to people, but in the simplest way they could do it, by speaking. It didn't matter whether they were literate. It didn't matter if they were online. It brought the benefits of digital to everyone. And that's where we started off. And of course, we've been doing AI for a decade, but the emergence of generative AI meant we went into chatbots, and it offers an opportunity for personalization, for matching customer need with what is out there in almost unimaginable ways.
And financial services can be, tend to be very conservative in adopting these new technologies. Have you kind of faced any challenges in that aspect?
I think financial services are quite conservative. A recent Capgemini survey showed that only 6% of retail banks are ready to adopt AI across the board. We have taken that reticence and turned it into an opportunity by focusing on a new market. We are using India to pilot our new Gen AI-based financial advisor, which is very much tailored to an Indian market. It's personalized. You can basically, rather than going on Perplexity or something and saying, what is the best way to invest or, get £10,000 for a deposit in 5 years' time, where you will just get general information. Our chatbot allows you to say what it is you earn, what you can save, what your risk appetite is, and literally it's a co-advisor, a co-pilot in wealth management. And it enables us to pilot this in a country where there is only 7% of the population invest in ETFs or mutual funds. It's a massive opportunity. There's a really limited supply of registered investment advisors, which are mandatory by the Indian government. So AI is a massive technological advantage in using and reaching wide swathes of people, which once we've experimented there, we can bring over to the UK and globally.
You've spoken about AI, media, startups, but you're also a staunch advocate of kind of more women in technology and finance. I mean, you recently gave a talk in Women in Tech and Finance at the House of Commons. I guess, why are those efforts so important to you?
Women make up half the world. In emerging economies, women are not just the workforce, but they're actually making the money. For us in India, as more and more women enter the workforce, they manage and control the wealth. Their risk appetite, their approach to money is critical. For decades, actually, at a micro level, there have been things like chit funds where groups of women have invested together. For goals like getting their kids married or education, and to kind of protect money from a more ambitious, more risky approach taken by their men to safeguard their and their families' future. I think it's critical women are in the business. However, it's undoubtedly a pretty conservative sector, financial services, not just wealth management, but the whole sector. In order to appeal to them as clients, we need to get more women within it. And it's interesting, as you mentioned at the event at which I spoke, it was interesting looking around the room to see that my fellow panelists were all, like me, startup founders. I think the conservatism of the sector means more women go out and do it on their own. I think globally there are only about 6% of women CEOs in financial services.
Looking ahead, where do you see the role of AI in kind of financial services, and kind of where does Voxta fit in that aspect?
I think there's a massive opportunity for AI in financial services, and there's also a massive reluctance within the industry to adopt something they see as a threat to their very core, to their jobs. But in the long run, I think it will offer massive opportunities to grow reach, to get more people to drive financial inclusion, not just in places like India, but in the UK, to get more people having a more long-term strategic approach to pensions that are much in discussion at the moment, or mortgage planning, or how you get on the property ladder. So AI, generative AI, the sort of bots that we are doing, can act as an advisor in your pocket for every single person. They're not just at the customer facing end, but they can automate processes like checking for money laundering, verification, onboarding, data analytics. So actually, Gen AI is going to be a revolution that sweeps across the board. The question is, if you're not on board, you're really going to be left out and become incredibly uncompetitive as the more forward-thinking, the challenger financial services start adopting it. And to that extent, I think there is a massive opportunity for Voxta. However, our approach has been, because we have tried and had conversations with potential clients in the industry and seen that whilst there is massive FOMO, or fear of missing out, with Gen AI, there's also a reluctance to commit and buy. We've adopted a partnership model. One of our investors is somebody from a wealth management background. So we feel that in partnering with another startup, and by us providing the technology and them providing the wealth management expertise, there is potential to overcome the hurdles and to exploit the opportunities, and win-win, because startups are much more experimental, much more able to take on risk. So we see a massive opportunity ahead.
Kavita, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Generative AI's impact on productivity could add trillions of dollars in value to the global economy. According to McKinsey, Gen AI could add to the equivalent of $2.6 to $4.4 trillion annually. Voxta is aiming to be part of the transformation despite the conservative outlook of the financial services industry. And for Kavita Reddi, the intersection of more women in technology and entrepreneurship and wealth will be critical to breaking down the conservative nature of financial services.